Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 14, Episode 60. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Thanks for being back with us here this Friday, Steelers Nation. And Dave, the C's are angry. You thought a loss to the 2-10 Cardinals was bad enough? Compound that with a 21-18 loss to the previously 2-10 New England Patriots. Pittsburgh now 7-6 on the season. Technically the 8th seed as we head into the weekend. I don't know where to begin, man, but how you doing?
Little dragging a little bit this morning, but I don't think doing a few bars of gloom, despair, and agony on me is would suffice. I don't know what's lower than that right now. A lot of people say, Dave, I don't buy your opinion on trap games and all like that. Look, I think these last 2 weeks are a good reason why I don't buy into trap games, because 2 and 10 teams back to back. If you didn't learn your lesson the first time, just any given Sunday, if you don't play, if you don't bring it, and you don't make plays, and if you get in key situations of games. I mean, these guys are professionals, and they're paid to play ball. I buy more of the trap game philosophy, as I've said several times, when it comes to college football, when you got big schools playing, much smaller schools and that kind of thing there. But man, what was the stat that they showed last night with first time? And you could probably cherry pick every game in the NFL if you really, really want to dig far enough there. But first team in history losing back-to-back games as a above 500 team to, I don't know, what exactly?
I think it was back-to-back losses, 500 plus team to teams that had 8 or more losses or something like that. Records that were 2-10, net loss of 8 plus games.
Boy, yeah, somebody had to dig for that one. But,
yeah, I don't know how they found that.
But I mean, it's not a good look, and it's they should all have to put that on a T-shirt and have to wear it around this week. To be honest with you, I don't know, where do you want to start on this other than. We said coming out of the show the other day, man, hopefully we don't get to the point where we're talking about a loss on Monday, no matter what it looks like, or on Friday, no matter what it looks like, because you got a long week here, obviously a Thursday night game, and this team's not playing again until a week from tomorrow. This is going to look, everything that the team, Mike Tomlin, players, whatever they're getting right now from the fan base, whatever's, and talk TV and talk radio, they 100% deserve right now.
They do. They absolutely do. This is an emotional loss for the players, but for us, for the fans, the word I go back to, Dave, we can talk about the particulars, the injuries, the backups, whatever. Unacceptable is what I go back to. Unacceptable to lose this game. If anybody was overlooking the Cardinals Sunday, I can buy that to a degree. Maybe certain players were, but nobody was overlooking the Patriots in this game. That can't happen. But I just think this team, there's no identity. The culture seems increasingly worse, and the losses are piling up, and it's all eating itself. This was a must-win game. You could not lose to back-to-back 2-win teams. They said it. Tomlin said it. Patrick Peterson explicitly said it. He said, you damn sure better not lose to these types of teams. He said, good teams don't lose back-to-back games in general, let alone to teams in the situations Arizona and New England is in. And to lose that one, regardless of circumstance, regardless of specifics, to squander this opportunity Pittsburgh had, sitting at 7-4 just on Saturday. It's unacceptable. Everyone has to look at themselves. Everything should be called into question. It's time to really kind of have some conversations we have not had before.
Yeah, look, and look, this roster, top to bottom, isn't the best roster in the NFL, but and I don't want to point fingers back at the Patriots here because they won the game, but this is a team that went in with Bailey Zappi making his second or third NFL start, right? Second or third.
I think his second this year. I believe he made 2 last year, so maybe his 4th start. Roughly.
All right. So you got a guy in him making a start for you. This team, you just look at their inactive list alone. They did not have Ramondre Stevenson. Now they do have an experienced back in Ezekiel Elliott behind him, so that was a little bit easier for them to get past. But you look at their wide receivers; they did not have Parker for this game. A couple of their other starting wide receivers missed a game due to injury. Their top 3 wide receivers in this game were Juju Smith-Schuster, Thornton, and Jalen Reagor. And that was it. Other than that, and you go back and you remember kind of the tape and what this Patriots offense has not done on the offensive side this season, and obviously coming off of the shutout to the Chargers and all like that, and then you flip over and you look at the Steelers roster, and they were able to, a couple of guys that were questionable that you're worried about not playing actually played in this game, and no matter what it would have looked like, and we would have obviously been talking about what it looked like. But they had to win this game. Yeah, you said it. I mean, you have got to find a way to win this game because this was a winnable game. Plus, you had all the other signs out there as well, too. I mean, you have Thursday night football prime time here. You got them in the color rush. You got them in the, all the little factors that you would think would kind of motivate, a team in this situation where they're on top of. You're pissed off coming out of a game losing to a 2-10 Arizona Cardinals team. You should have won this game, plain and simple.
And they were just outplayed. They were out executed. They were outclassed. It wasn't, and we can talk about the penalty on Christian Kuntz and the false start, and that's valid. It seemed like a bad call. That's almost universally agreed upon. But forget about that. There's so many other issues with this team. I mean, they were the worst team facing a 2-10 Patriots unit that had a historically bad offense that was just shut out, as you said last week. Had 13 combined points in their previous 3 games, and they have 21 by halftime. It's typical Pittsburgh, where you just know that the other team's going to use the Steelers to kind of figure things out. The Patriots were slogging along, and so of course you just knew this is going to be the game where the Patriots figure some things out offensively, and they did. Now Pittsburgh's defense responded; they were better in the second half, but by that point, damage was done. You knew we talked about it, Dave. Could Pittsburgh run the ball? That's an issue. They could not run the ball. Could they cover the tight ends? They could not cover the tight ends. That was a huge issue in this game. I mean, it's just kind of typical, predictable stuff. And Pittsburgh not able to make the adjustment, not able to make the change, or when they do, it's far too late. And they're playing catch up on the 2-10 Patriots with a historically bad offense.
Look, everybody should be upset with the defense, obviously, especially with the way they played in this first half. Without a doubt. And I'm not going to attempt to defend them, but I will say this. They did shut the Patriots down in the second half. They did get the football back in positive territory for them in this game, and the special teams also got the offense, the ball in positive territory in this game. Like it or not, you get through 3/4 of this game and you turn around, and this is still a winnable football game for the entire fourth quarter, right? For the entire fourth quarter, this was a winnable game. Why did you not win this game?
I think that speaks to, and it's a little harder for us to detail the exact specifics, being the outsiders not in that locker room. But again, I'm in some sense less interested in talking about the particulars of the game, although of course we will. But as you said, how do you lose this game given the circumstances and what this game meant? It speaks to a larger, broader problem culturally, identity-wise, the way your roster's built, the coaching overall, the players that you have. Do you have the right people? And it sounds like the team realizes that, at least team leaders. Minkah Fitzpatrick apparently laying into this team about their effort and their want-to and their desire. And if you got the leaders calling those things out, then that speaks volumes.
Yeah, it was good to hear Minkah give the rant that he did, but you need a lot more than that. You need a lot more than just Patrick Peterson saying you damn sure can't lose this week. Some of these guys got to take some of these other guys by the back of the neck, right? What was the quote exactly? I'll read the quote here from Minkah. Pull it up here. It looks great on it. It looks great written out, But what are you going to do about it? He says, in order to see fruit, you got to toil for it. I think too many people don't want to toil for it. They just want to walk out here and think they're going to make plays and think they're going to perform at the high level. Dudes just think that because they're wearing the black and gold that they're going to win games. And I think we need to check that mentality and make people realize they got to earn that mentality. I mean, I once again, that should be on the back of that T-shirt.
It's a wordy T-shirt that we wear, but it's accurate. But what, in a word, what does Fitzpatrick refer to? Culture. Right. The culture for the Steelers is a wreck. The standards have fallen. The culture's a mess, and they're losing because of it.
Yeah, it no longer does. You just don't put on that uniform and, that's the Steelers. Look out for them, Yeah. It doesn't mean anything anymore,
Right. It now means we can take these guys.
Right. I mean, look at this team this year and even how they've won the games that they've won, there is an issue, and it all boils back to, look, it sits at the feet of Mike Tomlin here.
It does. And I wrote the article this morning. He's got to feel the heat because of this. If he doesn't feel the heat now, when will he ever get to feel the heat? When is it ever justified to do that? So listen, I know in a post-game presser, what is there to say? You can only talk about so much. None of it really matters, but how many times can this team talk about, we got to execute, we just got to execute? I mean, it's true, they're not wrong, but what are you going to do about that? How do you actually implement that plan? And if the guys are not doing that, what changes will the coaching staff make to try to jumpstart this team? You have the same issues in terms of playing sloppy football with turnovers. Another illegal formation. How do you have another illegal formation? I know it's one play in the 120 that were running this game. But how do you have another illegal formation for a tackle, this time being covered up, when you just had two of them 4 days ago? Eddie Faulkner comes in and says, players are held accountable, we're detailed, we cleaned it up. They didn't clean it up, man. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, we're not worried about the bad snaps. Yeah.
And Cole, no disaster snaps, but continual low snaps in this game.
Right. I would have liked to seen Mike Tomlin be more emotional last night after that game, but he was really kind of subdued and kind of beaten down, really. And look, they're not going to fire him. Anybody listening to this to think that you're going to wake up to to the news of Mike Tomlin being fired today, that obviously isn't going to happen. At least I don't think it's going to happen. But I will say this, and there's a lot of talk about extension and all like that. And I don't think Mike Tomlin's going to be fired after this season, but I do think that he needs to earn that extension still. Obviously you still got 4 games left to go, and
sure.
and we'll see. Nobody listening to this should be optimistic at all that this team will run the table, and make no doubt about it, they need to run the table now. Mm-hmm. And they have got They have got to get themselves and running the table and making the playoffs just is not good enough. We went into the season saying, what does this team need to do? They need to get into the playoffs, and they need to get a playoff win behind them. That way, at least we can say that maybe a Super Bowl window is open. Boy, that Super Bowl window looks miles. I mean, it's out of sight right now, as opposed to coming out of the preseason with this team, right? You know, it's a mess. It is a mess. And then and then you look at this with some of your higher paid, stars on this team, the guys like, Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and you think to yourself, man, these guys are just going to be footnotes as part of, are these guys just going to be footnotes as good players on average to below average teams throughout their careers?
Goes back to legacy. What is going to be the legacy of these guys? Really great players, but Cam Hayward, one playoff win in games in which he played in. TJ Watt still looking for his first playoff victory. Same with Minkah Fitzpatrick. Those guys can't do it alone, of course, and playoff wins are typically more focused on quarterbacks for obvious reasons and head coaches. But what is the body of work for Pittsburgh since 2017? What do they have to show? They got 2 division titles, which, okay, something. No playoff wins, though. Never really truly thought of being a contender, especially in recent years. And there's no seemingly light at the end of the tunnel for that to change. So what is the body of work? What is the resume? I mean, we talked about with Matt Canada, you are judged by your results, regardless of reasons and excuses and this happened, that happened, you are judged by your results. And since 2017, Pittsburgh's results have been consistently underwhelming.
What did he say about, he was asked something along the line. Yeah, about bouncing back because that's who we are. I don't even see that. Did they leave that out of the transcript? Oh, no. It's at the end. It's on the next page here. What gives you the confidence that you guys can be back after 2 losses? Because this is what we do. This is who we are. I mean, don't put that on a T-shirt right now.
Well, I think he's right in the sense of this is who they are, not for bouncing back, but in their current form of just this mess, this fractured team. They don't know how to win.
Yeah, but he used it in the wrong context.
I know, right. Yeah, he used it in a different light. This is who they are, not for bouncing back, but losing to back-to-back 2-10 teams. Just a team that culturally seems a mess and coaching seems a mess and the players can't execute and they can talk about it all they want, but it's all hollow and shallow.
Right. It's just words. Yeah. Right now. And absolutely. Yes. The seat should be warm with Tomlin right now. Look, I think he's a great leader of men. And I've said that time and time again, and I've never even been real close to thinking that, the Steelers need to think about post Mike Tomlin life. But I mean, you get to where you're at right now. And once again, there are 4 games left in this season, but man, you really got to show something at this point now. And I don't think he deserves an extension. From where I sit right now, he should have to coach for his extension next year.
Yeah, that's the heat. I know people want him fired now, and I mean, it's becoming harder and harder to defend him staying, obviously, just based on where things are at right now. But my view, just kind of coming off this game, is 2024 will be make or break for both Kenny Pickett and Mike Tomlin. Are you the guys that can lead the future or not? 2024 will decide that.
And look, if he's told, if him and Omar Khan both are told that what happens in 2024 decides both of your futures here, maybe they handle things a little bit different. You better take a good hard look at what your quarterback situation is, because right now you're adjusting that yards per passing attempt stat for your quarterback position. Your passing game as a whole is 5.1. I love all these advanced analytics out there. You know that you give me these newfangled advanced analytics. I love them. Give me all of them and I'll look at them there. But I keep going back to this. You are not going to win a Super Bowl, let alone beat 2 and 10 teams out there with a adjusted net yards per passing attempt stat of 5.1. You're just not.
No,
you are just not. You might win some. Okay, you might get through the rest of this season. Who knows? You might sneak into the playoffs and win a playoff game. But you better get a good grip on what your quarterback situation, especially if my job is dependent on it, and if my job is dependent on it as well too. Are you gonna go out and get a rookie and expect him to be your savior? With your job tied to it. All I'm saying is Mike Tomlin should have to play next season for his extension, and as part of that, they damn sure better look at the quarterback position. And if he wants to tie himself to Kenny Pickett, that's fine, but that's what you're tied to.
Sure. Everything's on the table. Everything has to be examined. You can't take anything off the table right now. My biggest overall frustration is not just about this loss or the last two losses. It's this continual lowering of the bar of what the Pittsburgh Steelers are expected to be. For the longest time, it was, we're here to win a Super Bowl. That's our mission. And you could believe that based on their performance and just the overall construction of the team. Then it's kind of been, okay, let's win the division. And then it's, let's get to the playoffs. Now it's, oh, Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. You guys know for the longest time, not just this week, for years, I have loathed, one of our first terrible takes, Dave, was on this topic and how I loathe and did dislike the never had a losing season stat. And now it's like, all right, well, let's just beat the 2-10 Patriots. Let's try to do that. I mean, this lowering of the bar of the standard that Pittsburgh has set for the last 50 years frustrates me more than anything. And I understand you're not going to win the Super Bowl every year. I mean, it's the NFL. I mean, teams go through cycles, the ebb and flow. It's hard to win in the NFL, but I just feel like the bar has been lowered so much over the last several seasons. And, I compared it to, you put that frog in a slowly boiling pot of water. You slowly turn up the temperature. You don't feel the heat until it's too late. And Pittsburgh's gotten comfortable with this just, complacency of, let's just go 9-8. Let's get in the wild card. We're run and done. Okay, that's fine. We'll get them next year mentality. They have to get away from that. They have to expect more of themselves. And of course, this team's going to have to make some big changes to be able to do that.
2000s, there was a point in time where 2016 didn't seem so long ago, but now it seems a long, long time ago. And it has been, and now you're even at risk of, you're wondering if Mike Tomlin can continue to be able to raise that banner of non-losing seasons,
Yeah, and not that I want to root for this team to lose. I'm never going to root for them to lose, but in some sense, it would almost be good for that to end so people can stop focusing on that and getting comfortable with that talking point, because it means nothing. It means nothing to go 9-8 and go one and done or not make the playoffs in Pittsburgh. That is not the that's my point. That is not the standard in Pittsburgh, and I think the team and even the national media has become too accepting of that.
Look, if last week wasn't a turning point, this week damn sure is. It is a fork in the road point right now for this organization. Not just for the rest of this season, but beyond. This is what are you going to do about it now? Yeah. Because does 9 wins get you in, Alex? It doesn't feel like it, does it?
I mean,
especially
I don't know
with what they've done.
Thankfully,
one of these 2-10 losses was to an NFC team, if there is such a thankfully exclamation to be there. But now, you've got to run the table.
Yeah. I mean, maybe a 9 win could get you a 7 seed on a tiebreaker, but Pittsburgh's kind of playing themselves at a tiebreaker possibility. I mean, they go back to, they got to beat the Colts, and they lose to the Colts, then, you start losing some of those tiebreaker situations. So, 9 might get you in, but Pittsburgh's 9 might not be a strong enough 9 compared to some other team.
And even if you get in, that's not enough.
Yeah, they're going to get bounced. I mean, they're going to get rolled in the wild card round.
But once again, if last week wasn't, the fork in the road point for this organization, this week damn sure is.
All right, let's talk about this game a little bit here, Dave. Let's start with the Steelers offense. Mitch Trubisky getting the start. 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 1 rushing touchdown. Chances to win late, to move the ball late. Pittsburgh could not. Some very questionable situational play calling, whether that's the 4th and 2 that was failed prior to the Killebrew block punt, whether it's the 4th and 2 deep shot to Deontay, the 3rd and 2 that preceded that, etc. Trubisky, to me, he played better in the second half. Well, in part of the second half, I guess. But just to be very blunt about it, if I'm Tomlin, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if I'm Tomlin, I'm starting Mason Rudolph against the Colts. I just want somebody that's going to take better care of the football, manage the risk element of it a bit better, more effectively. I think Mason Rudolph does that.
Here's the thing. If he said after the game, did he ever give any thought to, well, let's back up first and foremost. Mitch, he only threw 1 interception, but it could have been 4, could have been 5. He got away with a few there. With Mike was asked after the game if he gave thought about, going to Mason. He said, I didn't. All right. Okay. Now, do we really think, honestly, regardless of what we think he should do we really think he's going to go with Mason as a starter? Now, look, you got a couple extra days here. If you were to do it, now is the time to do it. And to me, you don't have to worry about the politics associated with it. Like you would with Kenny Pickett. But personally, I don't think he will make that decision. But if he does decide to go with Mitch Trubisky as a starter in this game, at the first sign of trouble against the Colts, then he needs to be willing to hook him, and it
Sure.
and even then he would probably let there be 3 signs to pull him before he'll hook him. Then you worry about, is it going to be too late, again, and all like that. So, he talks all the time about, we're willing to turn over whatever stones necessary and all like that to engineer victory. Well, even though what the stone looks like sort of in Mason Rudolph, it's time to at least maybe think about turning that stone back over to see what may have happened on the other side of it. You know what I'm saying?
No, I do. And yeah, if I had to guess, I'll guess Trubisky's going to start against the Colts. But that goes back to the frustration of, why is that so off the table? Why is the conversation about benching Trubisky, who's a backup quarterback, basically a journeyman in the NFL. Why is that so off the table? A move that we can't even really get our head around Pittsburgh making. That's kind of their stubbornness and stuck in their ways. And maybe we'll be proven wrong and Rudolph will start. And listen, Mason Rudolph is no amazing quarterback or anything like that. It's not going to be this dramatic difference in a positive direction, but I think he's going to do a better job taking care of the football. For that singular but vital reason, taking care of the football, ball security, I would turn to Mason Rudolph.
And that's what got you some of your wins this year, was taking care of the football, right?
That's how this offense was. They cannot win when they turn the ball over. They cannot win when they turn the ball over. That is proven empirically.
And neither one of us, let's make it clear here, neither one of us are saying that we expect Mason Rudolph to come out and he could still he still could end up falling flat on his face as well too. We're not convinced that it's the obvious best thing that could happen, but at least he deserves a chance to not turn the football over at this point.
Yeah, I mean, just to be Trubisky is who he is, and that's fine. I mean, he's a risk taker, and yeah, on the interception that actually counted, Freiermuth did slow up his route, but I think just trying to even make that throw, such tight coverage, trying to squeeze that it's just not worth the risk in that situation. It's third down. It's going to be a low scoring game, kind of sort of overall. I mean, you're going to be in this thing, hopefully. Don't give them a short field to score and put up more points. So I just think the risk calculation is just too aggressive for how Pittsburgh is built.
He looked, Belichick had him confused with some of those movements in the secondary as well, too. He looked like and I haven't seen the all 22 yet, but I mean, just in some of the things, he looked confused. And I don't know, what was he trying to do on that one screen, too? And this team just can't run. We had no sense to even bang on that. But what was he even trying to accomplish on that? He's lucky that one wasn't picked.
Yeah, it should have been. I mean, there were a couple just failing and throwing up his back foot, and you're just like, what are you doing, man? Trying to scramble too much, not going through his reads quickly enough.
Yeah. But I mean, we'll see what Mike Tomlin does. I'm not counting on Mike Tomlin making a change at quarterback, but if ever there was a week to do that, once again, he talks about turning over the stones. Let's see if he turns one over at the quarterback position here.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more. Tomlin will have his presser Monday, so get some more information. Probably have a delayed podcast on Monday while we hear from Mike Tomlin. I believe that'll be at noon. I will say from a coaching perspective, again, those situational play calls, I think I've talked about this before. Coaching and coordinator and play calling is really judged by what you do in those hyper weighty type moments, third and goal, fourth down, those types of things. And what are these play calls? You had a pair of 4th and 2s. And you really didn't have like a play to get the first down. They were just kind of more traditional drop back concepts, and neither of them worked. And you're taking that deep shot to Deontay, and it's different reads and progressions on that play. But how is it 4th and 2? Your game, your season is on the line, and you're throwing the deep ball to Deontay. You can't get 2 yards in that situation. You need 2 yards. Why are you playing for the home run ball?
Even you just roll back to the 3rd and 2 at the 49 with 2:05 left. Why are you throwing there?
Yeah, you get the 2-minute warning. You get the first down, or not even talk about it on the 2-minute warning.
You know that you're going to go for it on fourth down if you don't get it. All right. So why are you even throwing there? And then on top of it, I mean, and Mitch talked about it after the game, and what is up if it was a design to go deep there, and he talked about, play has options, that kind of stuff there. You throw 33 air yards in that situation.
Yeah, I don't get it. And they were like, I'll have to see the all 22, but they looked like 3 vertical routes. It was, I think, Frymuth kind of on an over bender, 2 vertical on the outside, maybe some sort of option route underneath to Allen Robinson. Mm-hmm. That's your play call. Like, you got to have your best play call. We need 2 yards. If it's 4th and 11, you don't really scheme up your 4th and 11, got to have it call. But 4th and 2, that kind of short yardage stuff, you should have something that gets you 2 yards. A rub route or something designed.
Pivot to Deontay.
To Deontay. Yeah, something where you just get 2 yards. And on the 4th and 2 that failed near the goal line on that flip to Jaylen Warren, and on that final 4th and 2, you didn't have a call to get you 2 yards.
Now on the flip side, the people who would push back on us and say, well, yeah, but if Trubisky hits that to Deontay Johnson, then are you guys even talking about the decision there? Well, it's a results orientated thing here, and it's percentages, and it's what we know that this team has done, the probability factors, and all like that. And once again, I don't think it's just the 4th and 2 play that we need to talk about here. It's the 3rd and 2 play. It's the 4th and 2 play. It's a combined situation there. And make no mistake about it. You'll rewind what I just said earlier in this podcast. As bad as it all was, this entire 4th quarter, this was a winnable game. This was a winnable game on 3rd and 2 from the Steelers' 49-yard line. 49-yard line. I mean, how many more yards do you need at that point to at least get in field goal range?
Yeah, Boz had just hit a 56-yarder that looked good from probably 65, so you only need maybe 15 more yards to have a chance.
Those 2 plays need to be run like your season is in the balance, and you need 2 yards in 2 plays. Think about that.
Yeah, you're 100% right, and that's what they call. And maybe that slant would have been open. I mean, Trubisky just misses it, and he talked about the angle for Pickens was different than he expected, but these are your calls, man. This is everything's on the line, and this is what you come up with. I mean, it's just definitely blame coaching for. I mean, Trubisky missed a lot of stuff, but blame coaching for that.
And once again, I hate to be the guy that just goes to one play in a game and says this is where this was where they lost it and that. But I mean, once again, as bad as the defense played, as bad as the offense played, as bad as the whole script of the game went, you're at 2:05 left in the game at your 49-yard line. You're 3 points down, and you need 2 yards in 2 plays. So I technically I'm not drilling it down to one play. I'm drilling it down to two plays is what I'm doing. But that's the dysfunction with this team right now.
And then again, offensively, terrible on third down. What did they finish? 4-13?
They were 3 of 14. You gave them too much credit.
My dyslexia.
New England was 4 of 13.
4 of 13. There you go. So again, miserable on third down. Not good enough in the red zone. They're 30% in the red zone the last 4 games. Situational football, they're just pretty miserable in.
Yeah. And a lot of people are going to talk about the false start and all. Like, was that a bad call? I think it was. Yes, obviously. But once again, you got past that.
Yeah, you got the ball back.
You got past that. So yeah, does that need to be analyzed? And yeah, I get all that. But the fact of the matter is, you got to 2:05 at near midfield, needing a field goal for 2 yards to go. This is how I think this game primarily needs to be remembered as
in the 4th and 2 play, or the last 2 plays there.
The last 2 plays, really.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I mean, it kind of just encapsulates this team, just this mess with no. I mean, Patrick Peterson called it a killer instinct. They have to show the killer instinct, and they have not shown that. In that moment, they didn't show the killer instinct. They just played like it was the third quarter, and they were up, 14-10 or whatever, and just like normal football. And it's not like they're not acting as if everything is on the line.
All right, let's rewind this back to the start here. The inactives, and unless you want to continue, then go back through the game.
No, yeah, we should reset. I should have done that at the start, but we kind of just dove, both feet in,
ranting.
Yeah,
which I'm sure people are. Look, Alex and I have done this. I hate to say we become immune and less fans or whatnot, but we have done this so long that you try to look at this more objectively and analyze more so than you do riding the highs and lows, right?
Sure.
Of it. And we usually try to stay very balanced and in the middle and all like that. But there are, people can probably hear it in our voices today. I mean, we are still fans. We still get the levels of frustration in game that the rest of you listening to this get. And then we do reach levels of aggravation that probably people sense today and go off on kind of the hellfire and brimstone aspect of it. And we're like where a lot of you listening are at right now today. So I mean, we're human too when it comes to this stuff. So I just want to kind of throw that out there. All right, rewind it.
No, you're just to quickly address that. You're right. I mean, if you're not aggravated now, when is the time to be aggravated and frustrated and really taking a hard look at everything? That the same should and better be happening inside that locker room right now. If you're not, then that speaks to even larger problems. But yeah, from an injury standpoint, the questionable players played: Isaac Seumalo, Mason Cole, Najee Harris, Landon Roberts suited up, which we did not think was going to happen, on Monday, and he played, and kudos to him. He played a really good game, had that tip pass that Michael Walker picked off. I mean, that has just been a dude that has stepped up big time after Holcomb and Alexander went down. In-game injury, Alex Highsmith with a neck. That happened early. He did not return. TJ Watt got hit in the face on the first defensive snap of the game. He was in and out early on, finished the game, although, a very quiet game overall for TJ Watt. Inactive standpoint, what am I missing? I mean, from DeMarvin Leal, inactive, which we talked about, kind of assumed that was going to happen based on his dwindling snap counts, Marcus Golden being inactive for the first time all season. And of course, you lose Highsmith, and you're basically working with two outside linebackers the rest of the game, and Herbig and Watts. So, of course, that had to have happened. Any other pregame thoughts, Dave?
Look, I mean, the Golden thing was I understand why they did it. Because Herbig plays on special teams. Marcus Golden does not. You were down. Obviously James Pierre, you had to make some adjustments there. You brought up Johnson from the practice squad. I understand the minutia involved with that decision, but you first play of the game, TJ Watt gets banged up, and then not too long after it, Alex Highsmith gets banged up there, and it didn't end up costing you the game, but it's a decision that you look back on and kind of wonder about. You don't go into it planning to have your top two outside linebackers dinged up early in the game, obviously there. The thing, and this is way down the list of things to worry about right now, but we have been really the only ones talking about DeMarvin Leal and these dwindling snaps, and we both painted a picture that it was highly likely that he'd be inactive for this game. With Montravius Adams back, he was indeed inactive. Some questions at some point need to be asked about that. I don't worry about things too much past third round draft picks because it's a dart throw. It's a dart throw. It's a crapshoot. But when third round draft picks and above, when things like this happen, those questions need to be asked. Now, we got a lot of time to talk about that, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time about that. But that was your inactive list, and you talked about Landon. Man, props to that guy, Landon Roberts. I would have lost a lot of money this year betting on certain things related to health of players and other aspects of it. But I would have bet you on a short week the way he was unable to finish that game with the groin. That he would have played, and not only did he play, he's probably the best defensive player out there on the field last night, wasn't he? Or one of them.
I would say so for sure. Making impact plays, stopping the run. They need more guys like a Landon Roberts. Talk about culture and what it means to some of these guys. It means a lot to Landon Roberts, and he's a two-time Super Bowl champ, so he kind of knows what it takes and what it looks like to be on that path. And so if you're trying to look at your culture and see who fits that, you need guys like Landon Roberts.
Around the middle of the season, maybe a little bit before that, I was kind of wondering, well, is Landon Roberts going to be just one of these 1 year and done guys and all like that? I mean, this guy, for the price tag that he's costing you in 2024, you have to bring this guy back. I think he's earned that now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, his play alone merits it. And then Alexander with the Achilles, a free agent to be. Holcomb coming off the knee, 100%. Roberts comes back.
Okay, moving past the injuries and the inactive list.
Going back to the offense, I guess. No run game. Patriots, number one run defense. We talked about that. Everyone overlooked that aspect of it, but I think about how good and stout and strong that front seven was. Barmore and Bentley and others. And Pittsburgh tried to get a bit creative, and sometimes it worked. A 12-yard run to Austin and the negative 7-yard to Jaylen Warren off of, I think, a reverse. So, in fairness to Trubisky in this, passing game, the run game offered very little.
And we knew it was going to be a challenge when it comes to the run game. And it was. And as good of game, I think that Washington had in the blocking department the game before, right? Or was it 2 games before? I'm losing.
Really, the last 2, but I think especially against the Cardinals.
He wasn't on his screws in this game last night. For sure. And then, they couldn't. There were times in there where you saw the 4-yard runs or the 5-yard runs. You thought, okay, all right, but they never could build off of that whatsoever. And you knew that they were going to have to pass the football in this game to be effective. You knew that they were probably going to have to get the ball down the field to guys like George Pickens and Deontay Johnson. In what was it, the first half, George had 1 for 4. Is that right? George
I
Pickens?
believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
On one target. So you failed miserably at trying to get the football in his hands. Yes, Deontay Johnson. You had Mitch Trubisky to Deontay Johnson touchdown. Deontay made a nice grab on that, adjusting to the football because it wasn't a great thrown football. Props to, I think, Najee helped picking up the pass rush on that one. So whatever you get, you got a touchdown there. So at least you had that aspect of it, but the whole rest of it was clunky at best, especially when it came to the passing game. I mean, Connor Hayward, you made a nice play. I mean, technically he should have been short of the chains on that one, but it was a good effort by him to leap and get the first down. Nice effort by Washington on his one catch for 12 yards there, but they could never really stack plays on top of each other, Yeah,
when you're 3 of 14 on third down, it's hard to stack plays and get into a rhythm because you're constantly, punting or failing on third down, and there was no big plays in this game either besides the Johnson touchdown.
And I thought the Patriots did a good job of rotating guys and trying to confuse Mitch Trubisky in this game for sure.
And those are things we talked about. Like we laid out the game plan. This is what's going to happen. And Pittsburgh just never adjusted. They never overcame it. They got out executed, and I think probably out coached, out schemed.
Yeah, they did. They did.
George Pickens, 5 receptions, 19 yards, the first wide receiver in Steelers history to have no more than 20 yards on at least 5 catches. So that is some unfortunate history, and his frustration was evident throughout. And let's just say we're going to check his Instagram page this weekend.
And Mike Tomlin having a talk with him at one point during the game, and Deontay Johnson saying after the game, trying to talk him through some of these frustrations. I don't think this is going away with him. I think moving forward, we're going to see a lot of George Pickens frustrated.
Did they
Do you agree?
Yeah, probably based on just the minimal returns of this passing game. Did they throw one deep ball to George at all this game?
You look at his target route sheet on Next Gen Stats. No.
Okay, no, that's true. It's all very short. Now some of that can be dictated by coverage, and Patriots are playing a lot of off coverage, I think, but still, nothing that's in his wheelhouse.
George Pickens' average route depth across 6 targets was 3.4 yards past the line of scrimmage compared to 17.61 on non-targets. The largest difference among any receiver with 5+ targets in a game this season, 12.7 in parentheses. Every one of Pickens' targets were under 10 air yards there. So that's criminal in and of itself, that alone. No wonder the kid's frustrated, especially in this game.
He has a right to be. It's a must-win situation. He's not getting the ball. The passing game's doing nothing, and everything he's catching are just kind of 5-yard curls. So,
this is Ryan Switzer territory.
It is, yeah. It's like Ray McLeod, type stuff.
Yeah. So you look at that. That tells a story in and of itself. Just looking at his route target chart.
Yeah. O-line didn't get a great feel for. Dan Moore, I think, had some trouble. Don't know exactly how Broderick Jones did in this one. Interior line seemed to do okay. Close snaps, continued to be low. I don't know if he's just like a yips kind of thing almost at this point, or whatever the case is, but that's still a problem.
The only thing he does good right now is communicate pre-snap.
Yeah, the run blocking's been a bit better, but you're looking for a new center next year.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else here offensively? Again, just penalties. Well, the one illegal formation, they weren't highly penalized overall, but that one just really.
That was Chukwuma Okorafor as the extra blocker in there, and a wide receiver out next to him, and one of those two guys have got to know that they got to cover up the tackle.
Or was it because he was covered up? I think wasn't the ruling that the somebody was covered up. I think in this case,
I thought they said I'll have to look at the penalty here.
Yeah, it doesn't matter a whole lot. It's a penalty for some illegal formation. I thought it was something about the tackle was covered in this instance. Last week it was they were uncovered. This week I thought it was that somebody was covered. I don't know if that was referring to a core four or the adjacent tackle.
All right, it's just called illegal formation in here.
Anyway,
I'll have to go back and look at it.
It's a procedure penalty.
I thought both of them were off the line. I might be wrong.
I'll have to go back and check. It doesn't matter a whole lot. Any other final thoughts here offensively?
The 2-point play was nice.
How was the rest of the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
Yeah.
I wish I had called my Connor Hayward's going to throw a touchdown pass in my preseason predictions. I was a little mad that that one didn't come true. Came close, but not close enough.
The first kind of gadget to Austin worked. A nice little seal there, but coming back the other way with Jaylen Warren obviously didn't work. They tried to wrap around with Jaylen as kind of the H-back situation, quick handoff that way. I don't think that one worked. Yeah, they just they couldn't stack plays. They couldn't convert third downs, and when you do that, you're reliant on the explosive play. And they only had how many of those in this game? 3 explosive plays: the touchdown to Deontay Johnson, the pass deep right to Johnson for 24 yards in the fourth quarter with 15 seconds left in the game. And
the following one to Allen Robinson, which does not feel like an explosive play. Right.
So 2 of those came after the fact, really. So, I mean, technically you would have probably needed 2 more explosive plays at the end of that game or one of those explosive plays to be a triple explosive play for it to matter when they got it. So really you can boil this down to the 25-yard touchdown to Deontay Johnson.
That's the only 20-plus yard play in the game that mattered. So against a 2-10 team, a defense better than the offense. But yeah, miserable all the same. All right, Dave, defensively here, you let Bailey Zappi march downfield, opening drive touchdown, first opening drive touchdown the Pats have had all season.
Just the third first quarter touchdown they've had all season.
I didn't even realize that. Yeah, I believe it. And so by half, they have 21 points when they had 13 in their previous 3 entire games combined. They were just shut out by the lowly Chargers 4 days ago. Just the linebackers were a mess. New England exploited that, attacked it. Pittsburgh never adjusted.
The first touchdown to Ezekiel Elliott, you have Mark Robinson and Michael Walker in the game, and they exploited that easily with a rub-off. Was the second one to Henry over the middle, right?
Yes.
And that was Walker, and Walker slipped on that one, right?
Yeah, I want to see the whole play, but I know Walker did slip for sure.
All right, and on the third one, how the hell do you let that ball get over your head if you're Casey?
Yeah, took a bad angle. It was a nice throw, really great catch by Henry. Kudos to him, but that kind of hole shot, got to make that play.
Sucker route. That was they faked the. They tried to pull what the Eagles tried to pull on the Steelers. What was it last season there? Where they looks like they're trying to pull a screen. The tight end releases like he's going to block, and then he turns up and goes down the field. There, kudos to he was deep enough. I mean, he didn't bite on any of that. He just technically to me, it was an ill-advised throw, but it was more of a throw of, I'm going to give my guy a chance to make the play there. And you look at the end zone shot of that, even on the TV angle there, and you're wondering at the time he's letting go of that football, how does that go? How does Casey not at least make contact at the catch point, or really just bat that thing down, or really not intercept it?
Yeah, just maybe a little aggressive on the angle. I mean, it was a high throw, so he put it up where only Henry was going to have a chance to make the play. But yeah, I mean, Hunter Henry, 2 touchdowns on you. I mean, we knew the tight ends were going to be a problem. Pittsburgh couldn't cover McBride last week. He was their passing offense. Hunter Henry and Juju ended up being the two main cogs in the passing offense this week.
Might as well have been Brady and Gronk out there.
Yeah, it looked the same. The results were certainly the same. So, yeah, I mean, and did Pittsburgh adjust? We'll have to see. They did play all 4 off-ball linebackers and Roberts and Walker and Robinson and Blake Martinez in his Steelers debut. But it seemed like Walker was getting the majority of the snaps of the 3 of him, Robinson and Martinez, and New England was happy to keep attacking him.
Let's see here. Roberts played 46 snaps in this game, 81%. Walker played 25, 44%. Martinez played 21, 37%.
Wait, can you read that back? Wait, who played 81%?
Landon Roberts.
Okay, Roberts. Walker did how many snaps?
Walker played 25, which is 44%.
Okay, and then Robinson and
Martinez played 21 for 37%, and Mark Robinson played 6 for 11%.
Okay, so less snaps for Walker than I thought, but they really went after him all 25 snaps, whatever that was, and it feels like he was out there the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
The pass rush, no pass rush in this game. A little bit in the second half, but too little, too late. I mean, Bailey Zappi was sacked 5 times last week. I mean, they weren't touching him in the first half. I mean, Watt, did nothing. The pocket wasn't collapsed. It's just no pass rush.
And Zappi, to his credit, did a good job early in this game of stepping up.
Yeah, but of course, Pittsburgh makes Bailey Zappi look like, Tom Brady. I mean, after the whole quarterback situation's been a mess the entire year for the Patriots. And again, it's just typical Pittsburgh. Like, this crap's going to happen where you face some team that's struggling, and of course, Pittsburgh is going to be the team they do something against.
How does everybody's backup quarterback, whether you're watching them against the Steelers or watching on Monday night Browning against the Jaguars, at least there looks like some element of development or whatnot. And then you look at Steelers with Mitch Trubisky and it looks broke.
Yeah, and you can bet when the Patriots play the Chiefs next week,
they'll get blown out.
Suck. Yeah, they're going to, Zappi's going to look like crap, and you're going to go, well, how is it against Pittsburgh that he becomes the All-Star?
We had a conversation about Mitch Trubisky on the show the other day. Where are you at? I mean, we already have talked about that Mike Tomlin should sit him down and play Mason Rudolph. All right. Mm-hmm. So if you have 100% reached that point right now where Mason Rudolph should start against the Colts, then where are you on Mitch Trubisky in 2024?
Yeah, I said on the last show that I think he stays, just trying to compartmentalize what I think happens, what I personally would do. Yeah, I have no problem moving on from Mitch. I'm still kind of shocked that he agreed to and they gave him the extension in the first place this offseason.
I think they forced him into it, to be honest with you.
What do you mean by forced him into
it? There was no extra money involved there. They probably said, if you want to see that, money, you got to do this or else we're cutting you.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that was the conversation. I think Trubisky maybe could work in a different system that allows for more margin for error, maybe a team that has more explosive elements offensively, but I just don't think it works in Pittsburgh based on kind of the very, very fragile nature where they can't turn the ball over. So, we were never huge fans of the Trubisky signing to begin with. Way back when it originally happened, we were both kind of like, it's not the right direction to go. So they move on. I'm good with that.
All right. Where to? What else on defense?
I don't know, Dave.
We'll have to watch y'all. We'll talk about it on Monday. We got a lot of time to talk. Unfortunately, we got a lot of time to talk about this game.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long weekend. I mean, the defense tightened up in the second half. They did make plays, so credit to them for that. The run defense, I thought could have been a bit better overall, especially early. But I mean, it wasn't horrendous or anything like that. It just felt like the Patriots had a good plan early. Pittsburgh got punched in the mouth, and they're always having to always trying to adjust and trying to counter back and digging yourself out of a hole. And it's just typical Pittsburgh stuff.
Special teams. Speaking of turning over stones, it's time to turn over a punter stone, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to happen Maybe it happens mid-season, but I think the Harvin stuff is probably close to done. You need an elite punter with a team with an offense that's been just crap for years. You need an elite level punter, and Harvin is not that kind of guy.
Yeah, what was some of his net punts last night?
He had the one touchback, so that was a 31-yard net. I have to check the other ones there.
He had one like 34 or 35. I mean, that's just not going to cut it in these games. The only really bright spot on special teams was the Miles Killebrew block punt. And
did they technically call that a block? We'll call it a block, and that's fine. But because the punt went forward, does he actually get credit for a block on that?
That's a good question.
Because he's in the box score, it just says 11-yard punt by.
Okay, you might be right. Let me see. Let me go over to the defensive snaps here.
It should still be counted as a block. Even the ball goes forward past line of scrimmage, you should get credit for a block. You touch the football, you impact the course of the football.
He is not credited for a block in this game.
Yeah. Unfortunate, but we'll still call it a block. To me, that's 4 blocks in 3 seasons. All 4 of Killebrew's blocks have come in the fourth quarter, and they've all been like huge games. The Bills game in that Week 1 opener in 2021, the Chargers game to help lead the start of the comeback, even though they lost. The Ravens game earlier this year, that was a huge play in that one, and then this one against the Pats. So kudos to Killebrew. Those are clutch plays.
We got to make sure and we did earlier in the show, give Chris Boswell credit. I mean, he boomed that one,
Oh yeah, great kick. But yeah, he's your best offensive weapon at this point.
All right, where else? Anything else?
I don't know. It's just frustrating. We're both tired, and it's just like one of those days, one of those weekends, one of those years. But I think Pittsburgh has to really reevaluate everything and just look at kind of how this team's built and what they're trying to build, what their vision is, what their plan for success is, the coaching, the details, the personnel. It all has to be under the microscope.
Okay, Alex, before we get to some emails here, let me tell the fine folks about mybookie.ag and us get to our picks real quick here. If you found a $100 bill on the ground, you wouldn't walk past it, so don't pass up on a chance at easy cash with MyBookie. MyBookie has the biggest online selection of odds and contests to fill all your sports betting needs anytime, anywhere, so you can turn that sports knowledge into cash in your wallet. Bet on the NFL, college bowl games, or play for a share of big cash prizes in the weekly blackjack tournaments that they have. If you've been waiting for the right time to get in on the action, that time is right now. Make your winning move today. Sign up at MyBookie at mybookie.ag and use promo code TERRIBLE and claim your deposit match redeemable up to $1,000. Again, that's promo code TERRIBLE to claim your bonus. Experience the thrill of sports betting right from the comfort of your own home. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. So let's jump right in to this week's games, Alex. Indianapolis Colts at the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are home favorites by 2 points over the Colts.
Yeah, man, the Colts, give them credit, man, with their backup quarterback, Minshew, getting the job done. I'll go with the Colts.
I'll go with the Bengals. I was impressed what they did with Browning the other night. So I'll lay the 2 points at home there. The Houston Texans on the road against the New York Jets. The Texans are 3.5-point road favorites against the Jets here.
Jets back to Zach Wilson. No matter the quarterback, I'm taking the Texans.
I will as well too. It's a shame they lost Tank for the season there as well too. But I will take the Texans lay the 3.5 points. Cleveland Browns at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and their banged up quarterback position. The Browns are 3-point home favorites against the Jaguars.
Yeah, I'm not sure the quarterbacks will be. I don't even know on Cleveland's side whether it's Flacco, DTR, or Lawrence or Beathard for Jacksonville. This is going to be kind of a wild one, probably close. I'll lean Cleveland because of the defense.
Yeah, I will as well, too. I think they'll be able to get after whoever plays quarterback in this game. Give me the Browns to lay the 3 points. Atlanta Falcons hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Falcons are 1.5 favorites at home over the Buccaneers, a game I'm sure both of us will have queued up.
Definitely. I'll take the Bucs.
I'll take the Falcons, lay the 1.5 there. The New Orleans Saints at home playing the Carolina Panthers. The Saints are 5-point home favorites. What say you?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the Saints here, Dave.
I will take the Saints at home as well, too. Chicago Bears at home against the Detroit Lions. The Lions are 3.5-point road favorites in this one, Alex.
Yeah, I'm still a fan of Dan Campbell, what they've done overall. Give me the Lions.
Yeah, Lions should win this one, you would think, on the road. I'll lay that 3.5 with you there. Well, what should be a good game? The Baltimore Ravens, even though the Lions suggest otherwise. The Ravens at home against the Rams. 7.5-point favorites for the Ravens in this one.
Yeah, it's a pretty big line overall. I just really appreciate what Mike McDonald's doing over there as DC. The offense is humming. Even without Mark Andrews, I'll take the Ravens.
Oh, I'll take the Rams to cover, but the Ravens to win in this one. The Raiders on the at home against the Vikings. Vikings are 3-point road favorites, I think, with Joshua Dobbs.
Yeah, they're going to stick with Dobbs. That's the right decision. It was a bad game by him, but don't pull the plug. Turn to Jaron Hall, Nick Mullins. That's not going to improve your odds. Give me the Vikings. They Justin Jefferson back.
Yeah, I'll take the Vikings lay to 3 points as well, too. The 49ers at home, 11-point home favorites against the Seahawks.
Ooh, big line there. I'll say the Seahawks cover. 49ers win, but Seattle covers.
I think the 49ers will roll right through them. I'll lay the 11 points in this one. And what should be a good game? Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Buffalo Bills. That one is the afternoon, Sunday afternoon, 4:25 kickoff. Chiefs laying 1.5 against the Bills.
Yeah, it's kind of a question of who's going to be the skill player other than the star to step up. Diggs and Kelsey, who else can kind of become the guy? I'll take the Chiefs.
I'll take the Buffalo Bills in a road upset here. I'll take the 1.5. Chargers hosting the Denver Broncos. The Chargers laying 2.5 in this one against the Broncos.
Surprising. Denver's competitive. They're right back in this one. Pittsburgh will be watching this one very closely. Unfortunately, I'll go Denver.
I'll go the Chargers. I'll lay the 2.5. They win by a field goal in this one. I'll take the Chargers at home. Dallas Cowboys game, probably the game of the week here, right? At home against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Cowboys 3.5-point home favorites against the Eagles.
Yeah, I'll go Dak. He's red hot right now, man. He should be in that MVP conversation. I'm gonna go Dallas.
I think Dallas is due for a clunker here. I'll take the Eagles on the road. I'll take 3.5 points. Giants at home against the Packers. Giants or the Packers are 6.5-point road favorites in this one. Jordan Love playing good football right now.
He is. He's really turned it around. I'll take Love and the Packers.
I will take the Packers to lay that 6.5 as well, too. And finally, the Miami Dolphins at home against the Tennessee Titans. The Dolphins are 13-point home favorites in this one.
Big line, but big offense for Miami. I'll take the Dolphins.
I will take the Dolphins and lay that 13 as well. Let's get to some emails. Let the people have their word here. Chris Lookhart writes in, should we start giving some consideration to the thought that Big Ben could have made Tomlin look better as a coach than he actually is? He covered up a lot of warts. Not going to get any pushback right now. Mike Tomlin has a lot to prove in a short amount of time when it comes to the post-Ben Roethlisberger era.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And you see similar stuff happening with Belichick once Brady's gone and their lack of success and what's happening with Bill. So, yeah, I mean, it's all valid.
Nick Shuley writes in, yuck, 2 times in 5 days now, Mike Tomlin and company have been outcoached and outclassed by 2 and 10 teams. Not exactly sure, but that has to be historically bad, right? Yeah, Nick, we read that. I know it's a cherry pick stat, but I would seriously consider about making those guys wear it on a T-shirt this week. Like sometimes when a running back fumbles, he has to carry the football around all the time. Mm-hmm. I would probably put that stat on a T-shirt, make them guys wear it around, and say, "Don't let me catch you not wearing that T-shirt." He says, let's not sugarcoat anything here. This will mark the 7th year since the Steelers have won a playoff game. Front office can't keep Tomlin around after this. I would love to know if you guys want Tomlin to get an extension. He's been a good coach, but at this point, I think the romance between him and the Steelers has run its course. We talked earlier in the show that we both think that Mike Tomlin should have to play for that extension next year. That's where we're at right now. Look, you better show us something in these final 4 games. That's all I got to say. Jeff Berg writes in, ouch, with the Steelers. You got anything to add there, Alex? I don't think you do. I don't want to speak for you there. I don't want them to think that we're just as bored here.
No, we're lockstep there, Dave.
All right. Jeff Berg writes in, ouch, with the Steelers being the only team in the NFL history to be above 500 and lose consecutive blah, blah, blah games, at least 8 games under 500. Is it time to say Tomlin has lost the locker room? Is this an overreaction? Our 2 best receivers just going through the motions out there? Look, I will say this real quick. I thought it was unfair what Kirk Herbstreit said about George Pickens on that one play.
What did I didn't even remember what he said. Was
blocking,
it an effort? Blocking?
Yeah, the effort on away from the football on the other side there. You'll have to go back and see the clip when you go back through the TV tape there. It was on the other side of the play and all like that. And I didn't agree with now. Is George Pickens perfect? No. But I thought that was kind of uncalled for by Kirk Herbstreit. He says, our 2 receivers just going through the motions out there. Do you pull them and start guys who want it? No, I don't pull Deontay or George Pickens. He says something has to happen to make this team play with an edge. Thanks, and I apologize for the tape you'll be watching. I don't know what to add to any of that, Jeff. Luis Diaz.
Well, let me just ask you really quickly. The question is, has Tomlin lost the locker room? Do you think? I know it's a little hard to tell from our outsider perspective, but what's your take? What's your sense?
I think it's possible. You got a lot of guys in there, going different directions. It feels like.
It feels different. I mean, we probably had maybe some similar conversations back in 2012, 2013, that kind of stuff, even last year, but it feels different. It feels like they're just kind of out of gas and out of explanations. And just kind of like, you're not feeling. And maybe it's unfair for us to critique it in this sense, but you don't get the sense that many of these guys are feeling the weight of what's happening right now. Some are. Minkah is, I think Cam is. Those guys certainly do, but not everybody.
Right. A lot of them, I think Minkah put it right. A lot of these guys think all they got to do is show up, put the uniform on, and somebody else will handle the heavy lifting.
100%.
Luis Diaz on Michael Walker. Hi, guys. After a frustrating game, the simple question is Michael Walker even slightly better than Mark Robinson? I know 93 is not the greatest linebacker, but is Robinson, based on what you have seen on tape, even worse than Walker? Blah, blah, blah. And why is Tomlin so stubborn to even say that he never considered Mason? He just didn't. Lewis. It's not surprising to me. If that's the case, Mason should not even be on the team, he says. And just for these 2 last games, Steelers should consider replacing Tomlin in the offseason. Regards from Mexico City again, Lewis. Thanks, Lewis. Here's a conversation about Michael Walker and Mark Robinson. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I just want to know what is the hang up with Mark Robinson. It has to be a mental, just trust kind of thing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter that it doesn't matter which one is better or worse and needs to be on the field, because quite honestly, we're to the point. Michael Walker's not going to be on this roster and should not be on this roster next season. And at this point right now, you have to wonder if Mark Robinson will be.
Yeah, or if he is anything more than just a number 4 special teamer. I know we'll have this conversation more and we get a long week ahead to kind of digest things, but like even just in the offseason, what is your approach to this team? How do you begin fixing this team? They just feel like such a mess. It's just kind of this just blob of, I don't know what it is. But
it feels like it did last offseason, where there's so many holes and not enough draft picks to address it. And unless they make any changes to the way they address free agency, it feels daunting. Not even going into the deep details right now. It just it feels like it should have been closer, but it's not. It just feels like there's so many holes. Center, inside linebacker, a strong safety, a tackle, Uh,
A slot receiver.
A slot receiver. What are you going to do at quarterback?
Yeah.
Where else? Another corner.
Right.
Uh,
But I mean, I feel like, you're right. They had holes entering this past offseason, but they had, on paper, we all agreed, a great offseason. Free agency was strong. At least we thought so. The draft class looked strong, and to their credit, it still does look strong overall. And yet you're in this similar situation.
Right. Look, I mean, if Liao washes out, I mean, Montravius, what are you going to do with Montravius Adams? What are you going to do with Loudermilk? What are you going to do with Armand Watts? I mean, Cam's going to be another year older. Yes, Keanu Benton looks, the very, very bright spot for this team. But what are you going to do beyond that? It almost feels like you got to go out and get another defensive lineman in this draft,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think about even just big picture of like, who are you as a team? What are you trying to build? What is the culture of the team? What is the vision for success? And what's always going to be a very competitive, this AFC is going to be maybe as least competitive in the sense of all the quarterbacks are hurt right now. Imagine if everybody was healthy and they're healthy next year. So I just don't know. I don't even know where to begin with kind of, do you just take this thing down to the studs in some sense and just try to hit the reset button? In some sense, it feels like you have to kind of do that, because I think if you're having these cultural kind of core issues, you got to really kind of just reset things.
Well, if you do that, then you go ahead and reset the head coach too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
really
dancing around it a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to like have a conclusion here, but I'm just trying to say, like, I think just this team feels just like this mess, this just collection of people and not a team.
Right.
And that speaks to a larger problem than like Liao versus Adams. And like, it's not about that particular thing. It's more the big picture of like, who are we and how do we right this ship just as our foundation?
Look at teams like the Eagles and the 49ers and people saying that, if you're getting questioned about, man, how are you able to stay under the cap when you signing all these guys to big contracts? Because you want to be in a situation where you're having the issue of, man, we got so many guys that we want to sign. Who right now on this team do you want to sign to a long-term deal? And know that you have to spend the money, because a 3-year span in the CBA says you have to spend 90% of the cap in cash over a 3-year span. Who right now on this team that does not have a long-term deal do you want to pony up to?
Yeah, it's fair.
That you can. Because look, even if Kenny Pickett was the best thing since sliced bread right now, you can't sign her to an extension after this season.
Right, per CBA.
Right,
rules,
per CBA.
For those wondering. So like it's like Pat Frymouth, and that's kind of it right now.
Right. And even so, which by the way, I got a post coming up on Pat Frymouth. He's not going to hit comes to find out he's not going to hit his proven performance escalator. Thought he was.
Is that going to be based off a playing time thing?
Snaps. Yeah.
Yeah. Because of the injury.
The snaps in 2021. There's a difference there that I'll explain in a post that did not let him hit the threshold after all. On paper, Pro Football Reference has him hitting that threshold 60%, but when you dig down deeper into the actual snap percentages, he was under that. And he's not going to play enough snaps this year to get it. So you've got a guy now that he's playing in these final 4 games specifically to see how big of an extension he can get next offseason, if any extension at all.
That's interesting. Yeah, I look forward to that post. Just kind of thoughts rummaging through. I mean, it's obvious, but like, the OC hire for next year's going to be your most important hire in a long time. Like,
that's outside the organization now. It's got to be.
Oh yeah. If it's internal, like just shut it all down. Just John Tafford, Barresky, shut it down kind of stuff. It'll be outside. So I mean, again, I think that there's a player issue, a personnel issue. But I really think there's just coaching issues across the board in terms of like who you want, what guys you want, and in terms of how these guys are getting coached and taught and mistakes that are happening. I think that's kind of where things start for me.
Yeah, look, at least you're getting the question, and it's a small victory and not one that you want to declare, but at least you know for sure at this point that the in-house stuff isn't the path to go. Path beyond Canada.
Right. It's got to be, and I don't know who the outside guy is, but you got to nail that one. I mean, it's got to be a 10 out of 10 in terms of the hire and the results.
Right. All right. Jeremy writes in, hello, gentlemen. The smoke and mirrors of a month ago are now ashes and shards. That's a good way to put it. On paper, this team appears to have talent on both sides of the ball, but on the field, lack of details and execution and possible attitude and work ethic, according to number 39, are sinking the ship. Is this more a situation of needing a major roster overhaul, or is the coaching on this team so poor schematically that even talented players aren't able to execute? He says, I hope Omar has some big plans for this offseason. Look, they do have some talented guys on this team.
Yeah, and that's the frustrating part. It's not an untalented type team. They should be better than they are. So the question is why. I think coaching is kind of where I start with that. But then you maybe examine that and maybe ask the question, is the team as talented as we think that they are? If the results are what they are and the execution continues to be lacking, then how can you justify saying, oh, this team has talent?
Sure. And look, I think you need to look at coaching of the team, obviously, and the schematics and everything. Look, after the next 4 games, we'll have a lot of talk of how stripped down this thing needs to be done.
Everything has to be examined. To answer the question as a coaching players, everything has to be examined.
Our buddy Deshaun Campbell writes in, sup guys, I'm calling it now. George Pickens is going to ask for a trade this summer, rightfully so. The Steelers quarterbacks and staff are handicapping this guy, and it's beginning to even frustrate me, he says. I understand teams are trying to take him away, but Steelers don't even try anything past 5 yards, it seems. I mean, a guy with a catch radius like that doesn't even get red zone opportunities. I guess my question is, what do you think they can get for him? Is he a guy you can get a first or second for? There's no reason to have that conversation with 4 games left right now. In the season, and on the surface, you wouldn't think that they would trade him after this year. But look, this guy's not happy, period.
Oh yeah.
And to me, it feels like he's got a personality that in the games where he's not getting the ball, we're going to see this demeanor with him.
You're not wrong. But okay, what's the next step from there? You trade him or whatever, and then you find another receiver, and a lot of receivers have that kind of diva.
You could be right
attitude.
back in the same category again. Yeah, you could be.
It tends to happen. You need a quarterback. You need a quarterback that's going to. That's half what
quarterback
this comes down to.
Goes back to the adjusted net yards per passing attempt stat people hate. You've got to have a quarterback to win in this league consistently and compete. End of story.
Yeah. Like, really, I'm just trying to rummage through my thoughts as we talk about this. But what are your pillars of your team? Your head coach, I think really your offensive coordinator in this day and age, your quarterback, and just kind of general leadership. Like those are the things that are the foundations of your team. And you have questions now in a lot of those areas, especially quarterback. And
look, the obvious with Kenny being hurt now, and I always like to say you want 20 games to analyze the guy. Okay, move the line in the sand to 25 games. Are you even going to get to that point? Because there's talk about him not only missing 2 games, but probably as many as 4, right?
Yeah, he may not come back until week 18. And clearly, Kenny is not the central problem. You're seeing similar worse results as quarterbacks change and play callers change, all that kind of stuff. So it's not to say that.
But wouldn't it be nice to have all these extra games to evaluate him
on? Oh, 100%, especially in the post. That was the whole thing. Like, okay, Canada's gone. Let's see how Pickett does, without Canada around. But you won't get that chance. But it doesn't seem like Faulkner and Sullivan are really elevating their guys either.
Let me see if I can get one more in here from Buddy Paul Brown. After years of consistently playing down to teams not winning a playoff game in 6 years, probably 7, he writes, the final straw is losing back-to-back to 2-10 teams during a crucial playoff push and making Bailey Zappi look like Tom Brady. Tomlin absolutely has to go this offseason. This team is an absolute joke and has been for a few years. So he's venting like we would expect people to vent. Let's end it with this. These are very important Final Four games for the Steelers and Mike Tomlin, and you're welcome for the captain obvious statement there. We're going to see how far he can push this team and get them to come together or have them fall apart, because they could just as easily win, in my opinion, Alex, they could just as easily win these next 4 games as they could equally lose these next 4 games. That lets you know that us sitting here doing what we do have no idea what this team is right now.
Right, but I think they're trending in the direction of more likely to lose the next 4 games, just based on the locker room tone and tenor. I mean, if you can't get these guys to get up for this Patriots game, then what game can you get them to get up for?
You've got a Colts team that's playing pretty decent overall with Minshew at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a Bengals team that look like they can work around the quarterback situation to some degree. You've got a Seahawks team that who the hell knows what they're probably the NFC version of the Steelers right now, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And then you've got the Baltimore Ravens that you know, who knows if they're going to have something to play for.
Yeah, no, it's a fragile situation. The one thing I noted in an article this morning, and I don't want to maybe create too much of the speculation train, but you got David Tepper in Carolina, the former Steelers minority owner. He always wants big swings at coaches. Would he ever call Art Rooney and say, "Hey, what's going on with Mike Tomlin?" That kind of stuff. I don't know. I just want to connect those dots.
Wasn't this the same guy or wasn't there a group of the ownership that wanted Mike Tomlin fired though?
There was. I don't know if Tepper was a part of that or what his views were. And I
view the Redskins as being because I don't know if Mike Tomlin would want to look. I don't know the relationship that they have, and but to me also Tepper doesn't seem to be that patient. I would think Washington would be a much more suitable situation for Josh Harris over there. Gets Tomlin back closer to Virginia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Area. I would think, and look, started this season, I would give myself 92% chance I wouldn't be talking about something like this. Probably even higher than that.
Oh yeah, he probably 98% chance.
Yeah. But as we sit right now, depending on how this thing goes in the next 4 games, I once again think all options are on the table. And if you could trade, I can't believe I'm saying I really can't believe I'm saying this, but if this looks as bad as it's looked right now, and we are talking about, man, this whole damn thing needs to be whittled down and quickly in the process. And if Washington was willing to give up, I don't even know what compensation would be on that. Let's say a couple first round picks or whatnot. I think you'd have to look. Everything comes to an end at some point. Everything comes to an end. That's one of the mottos that I learned early in life. Everything comes to an end at some point.
Yeah, I'm not one to usually entertain the coach trade stuff because it gets talked about so much. When was the last coach trade that happened? Was it Gruden or Dungy or it's been forever. But Belichick's probably going to do it this year. And that might kind of set the precedent for teams to explore that. I'm not saying that Tomlin would want to go to Carolina or that's going to happen. All I know is that if David Tepper gets the sense that Tomlin could even be possibly available, he's going to explore that as much as he can because he has the money to do so and kind of the desire to have that big swing at head coach. So I can feel this becoming a talking point once the season ends.
Sure. And it especially after back-to-back losses to 2-10 teams.
Yeah. And if Pittsburgh bottoms out, if they go the other way and they just drop 3 of these 4 games, then imagine what it's like then compared to even how it feels right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, everything should be on the table at this point. Everything. And I imagine the discussions about Kirk Cousins and all like that. All of that from depending on what happens in these next 4 games, should potentially be on the table.
All right. Anything else from the emo machine?
Yeah, there's a lot in here, but we're not gonna have time to get to it, and I apologize to everybody for that. So we're at it. We wanted to do this in an hour, and we did it. We're at 90 minutes now, so we should probably wrap this up. It's a long week. We're gonna have a lot to talk about. Unfortunately, Monday we have a live stream after the podcast, right? But we will be back Monday. We'll go over the all 22. We'll go over whatever else happens in the media here and the press conferences and. Just get ready for a long week, and people aren't going to get that much pushback from us right now.
No, and just to be clear, Monday should be a later show because Monday's a Mike Tomlin press conference with the Saturday game, so just be aware of that from a scheduling perspective. But yeah, frustrated again. Pittsburgh deserves every ounce of criticism they get. This is the bed that they have made, they have laid in it, and they deserve it all. This is the podcast that we didn't think or didn't want. We're afraid that we might have to have, and here we are. So here we are. All right. You can follow me. I'm going to get away and go see some Christmas lights tonight. Good. That's what you should. It'll be a good time. What are you going to do tonight? Sleep? I'm very tired. So sleep and chart this defense and I don't know, get some comfort junk food and watch something that's not the Steelers. All right. You can follow me on Twitter/X at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and want to donate to the cause, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the donate button up right navigational bar. Also, if you like an ad-free version, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the ad-free button. We appreciate everybody. Appreciate everybody for listening and reading and hang in there. It's going to be a rough week, and we'll try our best to help everybody march through it. So until Monday, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.